Hello and welcome back. Glad you've all tuned in, and I'm here with a review of The Heart of Invictus, which is Prince Harry's new Netflix documentary that was released today. So of course, there will be spoilers in this, so if you've not watched it, just be aware of that. So let's get into this. Of course, I will not go into every specific detail, but there will be times that I will be talking about, certain things that if you want to watch, you better watch them first before you get my review here. So let's get into this. So, released on August the 30th, The Heart of Invictus is a 5-part series that follows the build up to the 2022 Invictus Games, which took place in The Hague, Netherlands. Prince Harry leads this project and he does it so well. Meghan, the Duchess of Sussex, also features briefly supporting the cause and her husband. During the show, Prince Harry and all of the competitors who are featured touched on poignant moments, very, very important moments in their lives. And it was such a journey watching them acknowledge their mental health struggles and also see them overcome. So it was quite interesting that at the beginning there was a trigger warning for the episodes and some of the topics that would be taking place, and we follow these competitors who have been highlighted in the show. And there will be a few I will also talk about here. Of course, I will not give away everything, but they did follow a few of these brave men and women on their journeys, and we got to see such astounding outcomes. I love how the documentary begins when Prince Harry is told to introduce himself. And he has this moment where he has this pause and then he goes, quote, "My name is Harry. On any given day, I'm a dad of 2 under 3-year-olds. Got a couple of dogs. I'm a husband. I'm founding patron of Invictus Games Foundation. There's lots of hats one wears, but I believe today is all about Invictus," end quote. And wasn't that so true of all these episodes, as he immediately turns his spotlight to amazing stories that we're going to highlight here. So let's focus on the emotional account of some of these men and women as they talked about the various struggles that they went through and also went on to go through in their daily lives, and the work they put in to become stronger from it. There was a special coverage from Team Ukraine that had quite special circumstances under which they attended the games, which was very, very moving and quite brave as well. The show put on quite a great focus on the consequence of war and how it affected them, and not only them, the people around their lives. There was a story about Yulia, who as well was called Taira, who also went through quite a bit. They started off basically gearing up for the games on her end of the story, and she was training for the tournament when she was captured and held prisoner by Russian troops, and it was such a story following her daughter as well and seeing the eventual outcome of all of that. And it was quite fascinating to me to see the team making that journey from Ukraine towards the Invictus Games, knowing all that was going on behind the scenes. They were following the news at home, putting on a brave face, and it was quite moving that, she was a paramedic, and when she was captured, she was supposed to be executed as well. So people went on this huge campaign to shed a light on her story. And long story short, in the end, eventually she was released in the wake of all of that global publicity at the Hague Games about her situation. And it was just such an amazing thing to watch. One could not believe how her story started and, the whole arc that she had being captured. And in the end, by the way, her daughter as well and the team, they always had her in their hearts during the games, and her daughter took her place on the team, on the archery team. And in the end, her story just has this amazing arc where she is released and you could just see the gratefulness all over her face. And what an amazing thing to watch. It was almost, what's the word? One couldn't write that script. It just had to be something that, the cameras were there to capture that, and it was quite a fascinating journey. And another standout as well was the moving story of Korean soldier. I will try to say this name, Na Hyung-yoon, who had both hands amputated after being electrocuted. He recounted quite tearfully and emotionally his life in his homeland and his disability, and the fact that he chose not to live in the shadows as was expected, but he used his amazing skill, his bravery, and quite some fantastic prosthetic hands that he was provided for. He used all of that to become an accomplished cyclist. And it was quite heartwarming watching the build-up for him, the behind the scenes, the training, just the emotional and the mental struggles that he had to overcome, and some of the stigmas as well, to get on that huge stage at Invictus Games and feeling the swell of emotion, and also watching the story of his wife and daughter and how they were supporting him as he took part in the games. Truly extraordinary and so inspirational as well. And it was just so wonderful to see the look of pride in the faces of his family as they watched him competing and being an inspiration. Oh my gosh, so loving. And also there was a story about the Danish soldier called Casper, who suffered a devastating hidden injury that was acute PTSD, and watching him also overcoming that, and even his whole arc bended forward towards him being able to be around his family. And he found he was getting triggered so much anymore. And wow, what a testament to these games, and just knowing that these men and women and their families as well, and of course their staff, those who care for them, that they are impacted by the Invictus Games. Something that was just a thought that came to Prince Harry to put together these games. And also I will touch on how, Prince Harry and his whole background serving made a way for this to happen. So, Prince Harry, he said he was inspired to start the Invictus Games after flying home with injured servicemen from Helmand province in 2008. And he talked about how he was angry that he had been pulled out of the war theater because of that leak that he was there, but he knew he had to do it to keep his fellow troops safe. But on the way home, seeing what was happening, he saw that the war itself wasn't the whole culmination of it, but he saw the physical injury and the trauma and what had happened. He got inspired to start the games a while later as he got to see the Warrior Games in the US. So he also talked about the trauma of his mother's passing. He talked about that with one of his fellow vets, and he said this quote, "I was unable to cry, unable to feel." And he didn't want to equate himself with the physical injury that that Canadian rower called Daryl Ling had gone through. But he did say he could understand the trauma, to see him opening up about how he had suppressed all of those emotions. And he was talking to him and saying that, he was unraveling in a way. And he is so open about that. He's talked about destigmatizing mental health discussions and not calling it so much that it's a mental illness, but trying to refocus the whole conversation to it being more about mental fitness. So I'm just so impressed seeing Prince Harry in and amongst his fellow vets and those who are serving. Camaraderie, such a respect, and such openness from him on his journey and what he's gone through, and how he got to deal with his own mental traumas that he had gone through. He calls them the invisible injuries. And he also talked about how, when his mother passed, he didn't have that support structure or network or that expert advice to identify what was actually going on with him. And he said that for the first time he considered where he was when he was in the fetal position, in quotes. So he wished he had dealt with some of the stuff previously. But, he's talked about it. He had shut himself down emotionally. He also touched on that a while ago. And yes, but right now, seeing him thriving and being so open about what he's gone through, and also using his own compassion from what he's gone through to be so uplifting to these inspirational men and women, is just so fantastic. And, you tip your hat to him. So he talked about that, of course, his personal experience, his tour of Afghanistan, flying Apaches, and also, as I said before, the unraveling that he went through. And now that he is much older and a father, there is a whole new level that's been unlocked for him. So he did not have people around him that could really help him in his words. So now he has become that support structure to these vets. So yes, so amazing. And one more journey I want to touch on, which was so beautiful, was the journey of Julian Allen as well, who is a member of Team UK. And he talked about how wheelchair rugby saved his life. And he's embraced the hope of Invictus Games. And it was so amazing to watch him stepping up to be a captain of his team. And there was this whole game that took place where it was just so nail-biting watching to see who would win, because up to that point, Team UK had been doing amazingly, winning all their games, had this huge streak of being unbeaten. But in the end, which was quite fascinating with this documentary as well, you'd want it to be this whole scripted thing where everyone they're following wins. But in the end, Team UK did not win in that rugby final. But their spirit, the message of hope and resilience, and knowing that they had inspired the world and their families, and that was the message that carried the day. And for the athletes, who some of them competing alone was just a victory itself. Oh my gosh, it was just so heartwarming. So many moments that would make you just well up in the show. And also a part that moved me when how Prince Harry was talking to some of the competitors, and he told them, when you feel that feeling in your throat, that lump in your throat, and you want to cry when you're out there and you're hearing the cheers and you're giving your all. And he said, forget about, don't mind it, just cry, let that cry out. So yes, it does show you Prince Harry having those human moments, and he is not guarded at all. He lets all of that down, and he gives you a piece of his soul as he talks to you, and he's so open about some of the things that he's gone through. And I think those of you watch, you can understand just how emotional some of these moments were. And one more story that I would love to highlight, which of course I just have to talk about this, was one of the stories of Navy soldier Gabriel George, who lost his right arm, and his story was so unforgettable. You could literally see the arc that he went on, how he was so traumatized and in pain. And even in his own words, he was running away from himself. And seeing how he got to participate in the games and competing in the Invictus Games, he took part in swimming and of course the archery competition and a few others. He was so unforgettable. So watching him dealing with the trauma of all he had gone through and the pain, and also watching him on this whole story arc where in the end he understood that it wasn't the answer to simply keep so busy that he would be running away from himself, but he found a way to be still. And that story just, oh my gosh, it would make you well up just seeing what he's gone through. And it was wonderful to see in the journey, even as he participated. And at times it were highs and lows. And for him, he did not win at the swimming. He did not win at archery. But in the end, once again, that theme of hope, it just persisted. And something so wonderful to see. I think Prince Harry, he really took time to understand those who are part of these games. And you could see there were moments in the competition where Harry'd go and sit with some of their families and talk to them and encourage these players on and on. And for this Navy vet, Prince Harry also took time to meet up with him again, and they went diving. And it was just such a heartwarming thing to know that concern for these competitors doesn't just end when the lights dim and everyone goes away, but it carries on well after the games, because you can see there Harry linking up with him again and going with him diving and teaching him a way to be still and not always in this what's next mode, running away from himself in the pain. But he found some kind of peace in diving. And that was fun to see Harry and him out there deep below looking at sea life and just having a fun time and laughing. And as I said, it's camaraderie. It's this whole community and family of Invictus. That was such a highlight of this documentary. So I will say here that it covers so many inspirational figures, yeah? And this show did not shy away from showing these individuals at their highs and when they were at their lowest, at their weakest. And it's a guaranteed grab your tissues and watch this, because the series was so poignant. And, you know, just talking about what these individuals, noble people, went through, not only impacted their lives, but those around them. So Prince Harry did so well being a central figure in the documentary, and he also managed to be that connective thread while not pulling focus, which was amazing. His involvement in the show was kept to this amount where he kept refocusing it on the heroism and on those who needed more light shined upon them. And once again, as I said, it was not only the competitors at the games, but their families, their staff, the team, those who took care of them. And though this show sometimes was quite a difficult watch at some moments, the main thing that shines through is what these service members continue to foster in that sense of community and love and their hope and all that they rose above. So that was the hugest takeaway. And one more thing, lovely to see Meghan featured there. She joined Harry. There was that scene where they arrived at the Salute to Freedom Gala in November 2021. Prince Harry was confiding in her that we haven't done this in a while, in quotes, and Meghan was, I know. And she has such a very calming and soothing presence to him. As we know, Prince Harry's talked about how, you know, he in the past had issue with getting up in front of people and speaking. He would say he would sweat buckets, but you can see he has become more confident, and Meghan is by his side. You know, just such an amazing team. And there was that moment where they sat behind the scenes, listened to service members and their spouses backstage at the gala, listening to their stories. Some of them were so gut-wrenching. And also, Meghan appeared in a planning meeting for the games as well. She was there with Prince Harry at the head of the table together. What a team. You know, I just loved their dynamic there, listening to the team, discussing the games. And also, there was that very sweet scene where Prince Harry is about to give a speech. And, you know, he can't figure out how to pronounce one of the, I think it was the current chief of defense of Netherlands' name. He kept saying, I think it was Uno. He kept saying Ono, and the last name was just so difficult that they had to get someone to vocalize it for them. And you could see them all trying to, you know, mouth it and say it. Even Meghan was trying as well. And at the end, when Harry was giving the speech, he completely, at first, was like, am I going to try this? And then in the end, he does it and everyone claps. But it was quite a funny moment. As we all know, the moment that we all love when Meghan introduces Harry and she says, you know, her man that she's proud of, and they have that very sweet moment as she introduces him on stage. What an intimate moment once again at the games, which we all love. I think all of us keep calling back to that, where she says, please welcome my incredible husband, Prince Harry, the Duke of Sussex, in quotes, and he says, thank you, my love. And he gave her that kiss. So sweet. So yes, once again, I could go on and on, you know, Prince Harry, how he has lived through serving the British Army from 2005 to 2015, rising to the rank of captain, deploying twice to Afghanistan, launching the Invictus Games after being inspired by the Warrior Games in the US, and now seeing the transformative physical, psychological, and social power that this event has had. It's something that can never ever be taken for granted, because we have seen all the journeys of these men and women from the preparation to the event, at the highlight of the event, watching them in their highs and lows, cheering them on, and all the way back to their home lives. What happened after the games? You know, it doesn't end for them when the lights go dim. No, the story goes on. The community and the sense of love goes on, watching them and their families and how they are able to take the feeling that Prince Harry told them to bottle up at the games and take home with them, that feeling of triumph, the feeling of overcoming, victory, the love, and seeing how it was able to truly change their day to day. That was the most amazing, fantastic, and admirable thing to behold. So once again, this is an amazing documentary, and I am going to say this right here, that this is an awards contender right here, this documentary. And let's pray and see what will happen, because this was a solid, for many people, it was above an 8 out of 10. That's just how good it was. And it's just what happens when someone takes that star power they have and focus it on what is good. And you know what, for those people who've talked about Harry and said he's not the smartest, and even they used to use that against his mother as well. You know, what can one say to that when they watch The Heart of Invictus, where Prince Harry's executive producer, and he was the whole lead of this. He has been the lead of this project. And of course, this is his brainchild, Invictus Games. Seeing all of this success flies in the face of that narrative and that lie that he is not bright. This is an intelligent man, and for him the best is yet to come, for him and for Meghan. And I'm so grateful that I watched this show. It's just such a heartwarming thing. It's just something that you want to tip your hat to all who've served, their bravery and for what they have done in and out of uniform and living in service to others. And it is wonderful to see someone walking in his purpose. That is so gratifying. It is just such a rewarding thing to see what has been done in transforming the lives of these servicemen and women. So wow, what an amazing documentary. These are my highlights, and now I'd like to know yours in the comment section below. So thank you for watching, and now onward to Invictus Games Dusseldorf, where we will get to see these inspirational men and women, servicemen and women, and their families once again being highlighted, being spotlighted, because they are truly rock stars, and this is the time for them to have their red carpet rolled out, and we will get to cheer them on their journeys, because of course they are so deserving, and be able to witness the transformative power of sport as they inspire us through the Invictus Games. So thank you all for watching, and if you love the show, remember to hit up Netflix on the socials. That's on Instagram, Twitter, X. Tell them you loved what you watched. Share the hashtags, get the word out. Let's get it trending. And of course, I will plug myself here. Kindly follow this channel too on Twitter. I would love to see you on there. Let's engage. Let's have fun there. And once again, share your thoughts in the comment section below. As always, before we log off, a special thank you to all who support this channel financially, to all my Patreon, PayPal, and membership supporters. I'd like to give a very heartfelt thank you and shout out a couple of you here by name. A very special thank you to you, Patricia Crenshaw. Thank you so much for how you've been such a support, and you've chosen to come along with me on this YouTube journey. I appreciate you. Thank you as well to TCC Sun. You have been so generous, super giving, and I appreciate you. You are valued. God bless. Thank you as well to Arnold Sanders. Thank you so much for your giving, for your generosity towards this channel. God bless you. Thank you as well to Rochelle Cherry. Thank you for all the times you've given, for all your super thanks, for every way you choose to engage here on this channel. I love you and appreciate you. Once again, share your thoughts in the comment section below. If you like this one, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. Click that subscribe button. It truly does help out the channel. And if you want to watch more, click the links here in the cards and at the end screens, and I will see you there. Thank you all for watching, and I will catch you in the next one. Have a blessed one.